Hi guys, Bill again. Happy New Year. It's the first vid of the new year, so I thought I'd go over a few things that I think are important. Yeah, to set my stall out, if you like. I think primarily that's what is this channel all about. You see, it all started off with me venting about the A-plussers making a blatantly feminist grab for the skeptical movement. Now they failed massively, but feminism might not have. The shows that the A-plussers were crying about have pretty much folded, and they've actually started to push out the codes of conduct that they wanted. And let's face it, any chance of the skeptical community actually talking about skeptical topics has gone right out the window. So you can score one to the bad guys, bad dolls. I'll keep up to speed on this one, maybe push out the occasional video on it. However, it's not all bad. While the A+ movement fell solidly on its arse, and let's face it, I enjoyed that. I found that some of you guys were actually interested in listening to what I've got to say, which is great. Now, it might be worth stating where I stand, even if it's only just for the trolls that are watching this. I'm very much against feminism in its current form. Now that doesn't mean that I'm an anti-feminist. However, it does mean that until they start to do what they claim they're all about, I'm highly sceptical of them and I'm anti anything that they're getting wrong. And at the moment, that's pretty much everything, at a level that is fucking over vast swathes of Western society. And that is not hyperbole, that's a statement of fact. Now I reserve the right to do the same to the men's rights movement. The big difference there is they seem to be getting it largely right. I feel particularly strongly attracted to the fact that their core beliefs are non-violent. Now that's in stark contrast to the radical feminist worldview, and it's absolutely the right way to go about doing your business in a civilised society. You don't have to hide how passionate you are about something. You know, get pissed off if you want, but use the energy in a positive manner. It's the way ahead. Now, I guess that rather makes me a male rights advocate. That's alright. It's not an insult. But I don't attach too much importance to labels. I mean, after all, I care just as much about the rights of women and girls. However, to prevent the issues that I am passionate about being co-opted by a faction that are blatantly following a gender-biased, bigoted agenda, I've got to side with the people who advocate for fairness and genuine equality. It's not a hard choice. This isn't propaganda, by the way. Consider homelessness. Now, it affects children, it affects women, and it affects men. Our feminist media portray the plight of women and children as being intolerable, which it is. Our feminist bureaucracy allocates the lion's share of funding towards those people. The problem is that the vast majority of homeless persons are male adults. Now their reasons for being permanently homeless, living rough on the street, are unlikely to be the same as the much better publicised women and children who are getting the majority of funding and support. Now those men's suffering is going to continue unabated for as long as we ignore it. There are a lot of issues surrounding homelessness, and feminism is just one. However, the biased, unjust allocation of resources has become a very large part of the problem. And it's a similar story on most other issues that I talk about. Now obviously we can't change the world overnight, I don't expect it. But I've got a modest threefold solution that I'm going to follow. The first thing is to point the problem out. Get people talking about men's rights instead of just dismissing them out of hand. You've got to make people realise that man up is about as sexist a comment as you will ever hear in our pink and fluffy, politically correct world. The main aim of this channel is just to get that message out there, get people talking. The second thing to do is to advocate for men's rights and equality before the law. Gender shouldn't affect the way you get treated under any circumstance, especially in a court of law. But sadly, that just isn't the case in Western society. Now, this goes a bit beyond advocacy, and this starts to get into activism. If there's anything that we can get involved with here in the UK, then obviously I'll flag it up, or I'll be happy to shout out for whoever runs with it. But until then, annoying nine hells out of the mainstream press and local politicians is a fun game for all the family. Their addresses and their emails aren't hard to get a hold of, peeps. Now, the third thing is more tenacious. While I'm always open to suggestions, I tend to believe that people are quite good at being people. They like to do things and like to organise their lives around family, around friends, and around their local community. Mostly, I'll push those values. Now, that's not being anti-MGTOW and that's not being anti-single mum. It's just recognising that my ideal world is recreating that village, tribal or clan lifestyle in whatever future world we find ourselves living in. Now, it's a personal opinion and it's not set in stone, but when I start banging on about my preferred solutions, just bear in mind that that's the end result that I think will work best. Your solution might not be that solution, it might be completely, radically different, and if it is, I'd like to hear about it, even if I don't necessarily agree with it. Obviously there's a limit. If you're Barbie Hitler, fem-theist, that's the door. Don't let it hit you in the bum on the way out, eh? Now, okay, that's the MRM aspect. Basically, I'm going to support it as much as I can in this coming year. Now, if you consider yourself a feminist and you think that I'm being unfair, then by all means you can paste me in the comments or you can send video replies or any of the usual YouTube stuff. But I think a more constructive method for you might be to demonstrate how feminism actually benefits our society. If there's a case you know of where feminism is promoting genuine equality as opposed to preferential treatment for women, I'm all ears. Let me know about it. I'll link you, I'll shout you out, I'll take your video replies. I mean, surely, I can't say fairer than that, eh? The final point is, I won't just hit you with the political stuff all year. That can get a bit tired. I'm lucky enough to live in a country that's rich in history and culture, so when the season turns, I'm going to dig the bike out, probably head up north. And I'll take a camera. Maybe some of you will be interested in the pictures I take. I'm not a historian, but I can sketch in a few background details for you, enough that the images will make sense at any rate. And you never know, I might even get into the sceptical arena. All depends on whether Nessie decides to pose her photos this year, eh? Later on, peeps.